I hate to put it that way, but that's exactly what life feels like sometimes. And I thought it would be great to have the Zinni 62 crew in for a discussion. And it's myself and Donald Richardson. And Donald, how you doing, man? Glad you're with us.
I'm doing all right. I'm a bit emotional over a lot of things that are going on in our country today, but I'm stabilizing.
Hey, there you go. Okay, so what he is emotional about is this right here. Um, it is that man, Officer Derek Chauvin of the Minnesota police force, with his knee on the neck of George Floyd, which led to George Floyd's death. And that knee is very much like, as you can see, Colin Kaepernick there, leading a number of people to discuss, hey, discuss it. And I felt that we both have a lot to say. So, Donald, uh, what's your thinking about what we're witnessing here? Share us what's going on with you.
So with me, like especially today, uh, I had to visit a lot of unrelatedly. This was totally unrelated, but the subject kept coming up everywhere I went. I'm visiting a lot of law enforcement guys because Urban Shield is coming up, and everywhere I went, this was the talk of. This was like the talk of the everybody's talking about it because it's like every some people have been trained to use a certain tactic like that, but it's a bit different, and
I think we are. See, did we lose him? I don't think we lost him, but let's see what. Keep talking. Go ahead, Joseph. Maybe not Joseph. Keep talking, Donald. I think we've still got you, but let's. Or you can go in and out, and come back. Some, but uh, and we'll recalibrate you into the system. How's that? Yeah. Sometimes StreamYard does that, particularly when it's on a busy night. It shouldn't happen, but sometimes it does. Donald, let's see here. I think what he's saying, I'll pick up where he left off. And Donald is a first man who served our country, uh, and still is very much involved with people are who fought for our country, and he so he's law enforcement, and he has a great deal, a unique perspective from his service to our country. We got your back, Donald. We got your back, right? Yes, I can hear you. So you were saying? I think there's a little delay there. Donald, you're with us. Donald, you're with us. We can hear you, Donald. We hear you. Hey, Donald, we hear you. I don't know if Donald realizes that we can hear you. Hear him. Uh, um, Donald, you're on. Donald is typing, but I don't know that he knows that he's on. That's interesting. Um, uh, hey, Don, you are on. I'm like, you are on. Talk. He was on, then he went away. Now he's coming back. But I'll tell you what I felt. Horrified. Just absolutely horrified. Here's Donald. Yeah, you're back with us. You never left. Uh, you're on.
okay.
Yeah, you're on. You never left.
All right, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Things happen.
Uh,
So you were saying about the people you talked to or talking with, and it was a talk around your circles, I believe.
okay, I didn't hear almost none of that because it was broken up. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just pick up where I think I left off. But yeah, I was talking to a lot of law enforcement guys today, a lot of different officers, from high ranking to low ranking, and we're all just talking about every time a knucklehead messes up, it makes their job even harder. They got to go out and police the streets, and uh, even though it's not in a lot of different jurisdictions anymore to protect and serve, they still have that mindset, that focus, that's what they want to go out and do.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes it hard to relate to the community when people are out there messing up. And then on a personal level, I'm like, geez, what does it take with these guys? Like personally, I kind of feel like I really, really feel like this.
Anyway, I remember I was thinking something that Donald uh, may say, but I'll say it until he comes back. He's having some connection thing issues there. But here's Donald. Adding it back to the stream. You're back, Donald. You're back.
Yeah,
You're back. You were saying.
keeps going in and out.
Oh, that's okay. It happens. Go ahead. Play through. Be like Tiger. Play through.
Maybe I'm just in a bad location for this.
Mm. We can hear you loud and clear. I was going to actually say, Donald, that something that's gone through my mind about this. You talking about law enforcement is the
Okay, I'm gonna try a different room.
Albert. Okay, is the Avery murder, and how the two men involved in that murder were were Ahmaud Arbery, his killers. Um, the the similarity, aside from the video, was that Ahmaud Arbery's killers in southern Georgia here, Gregory Michael and his son Travis Michael. Well, Gregory Michael was a law enforcement officer, and even though he wasn't actively working in that guise when he took the actions that led to the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, he was law enforcement. And I remember thinking about a sign I saw on, hey, Amo Scott, how you doing? On the roof of the Oakland Police Administration building. It was a banner. This was during the time that George Wendt was the police officer. I think he was just named. And I want to say 2012, 2013. Anyway, Wendt, actually, excuse me, not 2012, 2012. Wendt was named, and 2014, 2013, 2014. Wendt was named, and they had a banner the Oakland police did calling for recruits. And you could see it clearly from the Nimitz Freeway. And the first thought that went through my head as I drove by was, they're just going to take anybody off the street and recruit them to be a police officer.
I
And
remember that sign, 1-800 OPD.
yeah, and I thought they're going to get these white guys who basically want to be authority over somebody because it makes them feel special. And when I say that, I think about Richard Jewell, who is the focus of the movie, which you've heard of, but also for me, Richard Jewell was the focus of the Atlanta terrorist bombing when the Olympics was in Atlanta in 1996, and I didn't believe he did it at all. But what I and others like yourself, if you read about Richard Jewell, learn later when the hot light was placed on him and books were written about him, was that he was always trying to act above his station, and he was carrying out acts as if he were law enforcement even when he wasn't. And there's this common theme with all of these officers that have gotten into trouble and done this, where they seem like they've got to have to lord over somebody. And that's a product of a system that attracts them and doesn't psychiatrically test for a person who's like that. It's like they've got nothing else going on in their lives. They feel like they're losers. And so, and I'm not saying they're losers. I'm saying they feel that way, because a person who doesn't feel like they're a loser doesn't have to have somebody else to put down in order for them to feel special, to have self-esteem. But there's a constant thread in all of these cases where these people are like that. I mean, even if you take a look at Derek Chauvin, you look at where he lives. I can't even say it's a modest house. It looks like a low-income house in some area of Minneapolis that is so nondescript you would never want to visit it. And yet there are, hey, John Marks, there are, hey, Sean Watson, there were 100 protesters over there today with such intensity that they were actually preventing the DoorDash man from delivering food to his home. And they were writing notes and messages on the sidewalk in reference to what he had done to George Floyd. So, but it fits the pattern of a person who takes a police job, and a person doesn't necessarily have to be white, but more often than not, when we hear about these cases, it's a white man doing it to a black man or a black woman. I think of a case in Seattle, white officer basically beats the pulp out of a black woman inmate, thinking that he's not going to be seen. The cameras capture the whole thing. He got booted. I don't know if he was incarcerated or what happened, but I know that he was fired. And we have to stop producing these types of officers in the system. And the best way we can do that is to screen for people who have such low self-esteem that they feel like they have to take it out on someone of color. And there are a number of ways to do that. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not the person who has the screening system that everybody wants to buy and that sort of thing. But I'm saying that the right question to ask is, how do we screen so that people who are more likely to do that sort of act don't become police officers? Okay. And you see what I'm getting at? What are your thoughts?
Well, you know what? Coming up in there is a process like that. The only thing is, it's hardcore, because for the individual, the officer that is going to go through that process, if it's let me see how to say this. Like in today's society, we have so many laws as far as harassment goes on the job. Like, the only way to find a lot of those things out about certain people is you have to be able to push buttons to get that out.
Right.
Like, and legally, training wise, you can't push these buttons, or you'll get fired, you'll get sued, or EEOC will come after you. So it has like if it's done, like when it was done to me and done to others, you know, it's done in secrecy, and you find out who's who.
Hmm. What kind of training are we talking about? Can you give us a light on what that looks like without getting into
So,
over?
okay, like to be real specific
Mm-hmm.
with George Floyd. Okay, he's a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there were 4 officers there. There were 3 on him, 1 watching. It's been in my experience in Alameda when it's a big guy and and it's 4 of you and like you got like 2 new guys. The 2 new guys are gonna handle that big guy by itself. And as far if the big guy roughs up your 2 rookies, then that's what happens. And if they don't deem themselves worthy in that confrontation, they will be weeded out through the ranks. And Alameda, I'm just gonna use Alameda County Sheriffs.
Mm-hmm.
Alameda County Sheriffs does this, but they do it within like, they don't let their new guys hit the streets at all. Their new guys, they start in Santa Rita. So a lot of this I'll just call it what it is. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of this hazing, as far as dealing with criminals in the public and weeding out those that have these racial undertones or biases, a lot of that is weeded out when they're working the prisons
Mm-hmm.
because they get to see who's who. And that's one of the reasons why I respect Alameda County sheriffs so much, because they do what it takes to get those guys, the weak links, out before they hit the streets.
To weed out the problem types.
Yeah, some still make it through,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have as many as other counties or or like Oakland. Oh my God, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a lot of hits, family wise.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I looked back at his nickname was Andre 3000. I look at back at some of the
Mm-hmm.
lessons that he taught me, how to treat people when they are when they done, like when you come across a guy that's murdered little kids,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how you're gonna treat him, how you're gonna treat a person that shoplift. You're gonna give them the same respect.
Mm-hmm.
You're not out there to be the judge and the jury. You're just
Mm-hmm.
out there to make the arrest and facilitate them so they can see a judge and a jury.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the executioner. You're just there to not even necessarily enforce the law. You're just there to detain and arrest in the process. That's it. But some guys, you know, they want to bypass the laws. Some guys really believe that, we'll just take the 15 that we got in the magazine and we'll do what needs to be done right here on the streets. And we don't have to worry about them getting out. We don't have to worry about them hurting nobody else.
So you're saying, as Donald Williams said, that uh, officer um, and responsible for the murder of George Floyd, you're saying he was trying to kill him on the street.
I'm not
If I
saying that he was trying to kill him on the street, but I am saying, watching the tape, I can see fear.
Mhm.
I can see that he was in fear that if he eased up even a little bit on this guy, that he would that George would be in control of the situation and not him as an officer. And then there's a lot of other little things too
but
that
here's
go in.
let me do this because what I have a. I mean, look, Donald. He had his knee on this guy's neck for a full 9 minutes, and I thought it was at first something that was played in a loop, and maybe I was watching it over and over again. I need to reset it. It wasn't. He was just there. Okay. So
Yeah,
why
he
would
was
anybody
scared.
in their right mind think that a person, if they have a gun, if they have him in handcuffs already, which they did, and they have him on the ground, how the hell can he regain control? Only, I mean, you have to be a person would have to be psychotic to think that.
Not necessarily, because I've seen it happen. And I'm looking at this cop, looking at this officer. He just doesn't seem he doesn't seem like the type of guy that would have an imposing force on anybody. So everything that he does, he has to do to the extreme out of fear. He has to do to the extreme to save face. He has to do the extreme psychologically to show that he's that guy. Because
Yeah, but
everything
that's
else,
psychotic though. I mean, it doesn't erase the fact that it's psychotic. That's like saying, "Hey, look, you know what? That to me, that's like saying that's like someone in Santa Rita, uh, back in the Bay Area, for those who back in the Bay Area or any other place else, someone within the framework of prison culture justifying why somebody else got beat up. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't psychotic. There's a reason behind it. Okay, fine, but the reasons still led to a psychotic action. Putting a badge on a person, a title, doesn't erase the fact that it's psychotic.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you these are the reasons why stuff like that happens. These are the reasons. Like, I got a real good glimpse into it. I wish, like, one of the things that I wish a lot of law enforcement, and I hate to reference law enforcement agencies, but there are some good agencies out there. And I know, like a lot of like between Boston and the Bay Area, there's like a lot of back and forth between Boston police and and Massachusetts sheriffs and the police in the Bay Area. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of good training that goes back and forth. And I wish other law enforcement agencies would do the same thing, cross training with each other, because what they're doing in Boston is, they're training, they're doing real groundwork as far as what do we call it? What were we calling it? Diversity training and psychological training for cops, for police officers, for law enforcement. There's a lot of that going on in the Bay Area, even San Francisco police. You know, or go. I mean, like I couldn't believe it when I first heard about it that in Boston that they're leading the nation in stuff like this. And like I've been to Boston before. The
Yeah, and
people, the people in Boston are just not that friendly. It's fireworks, man. Relax.
No, I want to say that I've been in a situation where I was stopped. I've told the story before. I'll tell it again. I told it to the late Jeff Adachi. It's here on Zany 62 on my really long, I think hour-long interview with him. But I digress. I was being tailgated by a fellow in 2006 on the Bay Bridge. I didn't know why. He was forcing me to go faster, and I didn't want to speed. And so I thought, how do I get rid of this guy? So I saw a CHP officer in the middle, and I decided to get in front of the officer deliberately to get his attention. And I did do that, and I'm pointing like this dude, this dude, this dude. And the guy goes by me, must have been doing 80. Does the officer go after him? No. The officer continues to stay behind me. And then he changes lanes when I change lanes. And as soon as we get off the bridge, he does that thing with the lights and pulls me over and says, I said, officer, I was trying to get your attention. Did you see the guy going by me? He goes, no. Don't worry, we're going to let you go in a second. We just want to check you. So he breathalyzes me. And I had only had maybe 2 or 3 drinks. That was it, if that, with dinner. I was at the Balboa Cafe and going back home, as I have always done. And next thing I know, he has my hands up like this, and he cuffs me, and I'm thinking, seriously? And so because I had tears in down my eyes, he body slams me on the hood of his squad car. Okay? So, I mean, I don't care what people say. I don't cotton to the idea that there's this culture, these people do these things, and they have these reasons, because the longer people talk about them, the more they justify them, and the less likely the system is to change. Okay? And yet we've had this happen. I mean, think about what we've had in the space of just the last 3 weeks. We've had Aubrey, we've had this guy, and I believe another one, okay? And excuse me, then we had, taken out of law enforcement, we've taken into society, we had Amy Cooper basically calling, but this doesn't involve law enforcement, calling the police on a black man.
Yeah.
Right? So my point is, I don't care what officers do. I'm more than fully aware of the relationship between the Boston police and the Oakland police, because I represented the mayor of Oakland, and we had that kind of training. That was when I represented the mayor between 1995 and 1999, before trying to bring Super Bowl to Oakland. So I know all that. But my point is, we have too many instances where these institutions are being defended, and no one's taking any active role to change them. And so this happens again and again and again. It's always a man. Maybe we should just throw out all the men and make them women who are strong enough to be bodybuilders, right? Or bodybuilders who can do the testing, because women, think differently and they handle problems differently. I would be all for that, because dudes up here have a problem, and the problem became more acute as we had the fall of manufacturing. And so somebody that had only a high school education, who could get a great job feeding a family of 4 in an automobile plant, that opportunity for that next generation of people who are like that went away, because we as a country didn't do economic planning to compete with foreign competition and make our cars sellable around the world. We didn't do that for a long time, until the we stopped being a we and became truly multinational, where you had Fords made in the United States, sold in Japan, and vice versa, because Ford owned Mazda, okay? And the multinationals owned so much that it became difficult to tell what an American car was anymore. But by that time, the damage to our manufacturing industry, to the point where it was not the employment leader that it once was, and we talked about having a service economy was done. And then on top of that, rather than take that as an alarm, we just said, oh, we're going to have this knowledge nation, and we're going to lead the nation because we're going to create and innovate, and we're going to make all these products. And so the idea is that we make these products, they come out, it's the latest, greatest, and hottest thing that you want, and it's the latest and greatest technology that people have to learn, and so the new jobs will be created out of that. But then what happened? Hey, our foreign competitors became quick at copying those and replacing them very quickly. And then, of course, multinationals started making those products over there because they were cheaper. And the United States government was not subsidizing American companies to compete worldwide. And so the same process happened a damn ding dong ding again, okay? And so with all that, we expect John and Judy Q. Public to go out, and now instead of the major wages they used to make in manufacturing, they're making crap wages. So, hey, who pays better? Ta-da! Law enforcement. So you have people going to be security guards and every other kind of thing. And you've got this inculcated in our culture with Law and Order and all these other cop shows where it's very common to see an officer put his hands on a black man without probable cause, without reason, just harassing him. That happens all too often that we're acculturated to accept it.
Fact.
Okay? So, and no one says anything. And someone's gonna tell me out there this isn't psychotic. It's totally psychotic. It's psycho. And it has us eating, we have somebody in the White House that takes advantage of it by deliberately withholding money that we need as a culture to make ends meet during a pandemic, okay, that pits one state against the other, and the country just sits around and let it happen because they're happier when the people get angry. Rather than looking north to the people that lead and say, we need to make a change, they turn around and get angry at each other, which is stupid. So, I mean, we have to change. And I'm saying the change that we have to exact will, if we do it, make us better as a society. If you look around the world, we've got China, the newly industrialized companies of the Pacific Rim, which are now industrialized. We have Europe and Eastern Europe. We have countries that are, to a large degree, monoethnic, that have no problem taking care of their own during a pandemic. The two nations that have the hardest time enacting policies that take care of their own just happen to be the ones that are most mixed, the United States and the United Kingdom. There's something wrong there. With us, it's somebody else that has the problem. And so you have an officer like the officer Derek Chauvin. You have the officer who thinks it's okay to basically get rid of the other, all right? Who has, in that person's mind, seen that person as the other. And someone's supposed to tell me that's actually an okay thing. It's not okay. It's sick. And we've institutionalized sick behavior.
You're absolutely right.
Derek Chauvin is representative of a culture that needs to be altered. And I'll read the comments of the people who are chiming in. I don't want to get too far ahead of them. JD says it's a blanking shame. I said I agree. Z Kumar says I don't understand why he's in handcuffs, why he wasn't put in a car. What was there waiting for? They already had him in handcuffs. Exactly. JD says not. And Pedro Galaro says, hey, Zinni, hoping for better days ahead. So am I. ML Scott says that clown doesn't deserve the title of officer in any form. That's exactly what I'm saying, Donald. He doesn't, because you were talking about, Alameda sheriffs who I love, but there's that sheriff that gave Messiah Ujiri, the president of the Raptors, a hard time and didn't need to. I have to return orders, so I'm going to pick on this black guy in a suit. Which also happens. You have You know, and it's happened to me. And when I say that, it doesn't even have to be a person who's white who thinks that. I had this is 1992. Okay, I took a census job, uh, summer just to make some ends meet, you know. And this fellow who I'm not going to name was the teacher because they in those days before the internet, they had you take these courses on how to go and walk and do field work. I wanted to work in the office, but the reason I wanted to work in the office was because the person who was the instructor got mad for this reason at me. For this reason, a lady next to me got lost in the instruction. I just simply said to her, "We're on page 11 right over here." That man said, "I've had it with you. You talk all the time." And I said, and I'm looking at him like, "What?" Which nothing could be further than the truth. Okay. And he's tall, brother, looked like a cross between Lou Alcindor and Ichabod Crane, if you can think about that. All right. So he storms out of the room. And this guy White comes up to me. We're all figuring out what happened, looking and like, what the heck's going on? And I'm thinking, what? He goes, because I want you out of here, right? Talking about me, right? And they all said, no, we got your back because. But this one guy said, I think the problem is. He says, I'll tell you what it is. He said, you know what it is? You need to dumb down a little. I said, what do you mean? He says, just the way you talk, it's like you're like way up here.
I hate him.
And that's the first time, yeah. And that's the first time anybody actually said that to me. It doesn't mean that people weren't thinking it, all right? But my point is, you have people around who are in that rubric of low self-esteem, get really, and they turn around and they behave that way. There was a guy that came by here to do our home inspection last week. Same problem. Okay, just because on our property, I said to him, hey, when you shut the door, make sure you lock it on both sides because you have to unlock both sides in order to go in. He says, well, I hear if you were yelling at me. And I said, whoa. I said, my friend, I wasn't yelling at you. And then I stopped and said, you know what? Wait. You're out of line, man. You're out of line. Okay? And I said to my mom, this dude's got a race issue. Okay? Because a normal person does not show up on the job and yell at the people who run the house just because that person gave them an instruction. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That person's got a problem. All right, period, end of story. That person's got a problem. I told the insurance company about him, and I told the organization that he works for. I told the CEO directly, CEO to CEO. Because here I'm wearing a Raiders shirt, and you would think a person would say, oh, you know what? I want to seek common ground with him. Oh, he's a Raiders fan. Maybe I'm a Falcons fan or something like that. No. Okay? There's a lot of that going around, man. There's a lot of that going around. It's to the point where I am very careful who I interact with because there's this psychosis that this society has not addressed. And it's growing. And we have people who they didn't, and I really go back to the days of Van Gordon Salter, and I blame this. Oh, you got a doorbell.
Yeah, I gotta let some people in.
Okay. All right. So
I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. I'm going to keep talking through this. I'm going to put you on. I'll put you on and I'll come back. Okay. All right. Van Gordon Salter was the president of CBS. And what he did was he pulled funding for CBS News. Okay. And prior to his actions, CBS News was the gold standard. And he didn't believe that audiences wanted that. The CBS News wasn't making money for CBS. I'm talking about the days of Walter Cronkite, but it was without question a legendary outfit. But then Van Gordon and Salter came in 1981 and decided, hey, I'm going to slash the budget. And when he did that, we also had slashes in education spending and other aspects of social life, where the idea was, hey, it's okay to be less intelligent. You know, it's okay to not want to think. And we've been on this long slide of not thinking for decades. Now, what caused us to go that way? I think, I don't actually still have the definitive answer for this, but I believe that as the United States became more diverse, there became less usism. In other words, when I say usism, I mean America as one. And so a homeless problem became a black problem. Or originally, it was a teen mom problem that was thought of as a black problem until the realization that it was really a white problem came to the fore. And then suddenly teen moms went from being derided to being televised and made TV stars. Okay? So, point is, there's always the other. And that otherism has contributed to not spending money where we need to spend it in order to make sure our society is improved and our social system is maintained. Where we have a situation where someone can go to the University of California at Berkeley and not pay a king's ransom or a queen's ransom as one has to do today to go through. And yet this happens and no one questions it. We don't expect better of our society. So I call it circling the economic drain, like this. And that's the bad news. Here's the good news, folks. The good news is that we can get out of it like that. If the president turned around tomorrow and said, we've done some analysis and we figured out that we've actually underfunded our expenditures for people to survive until we come up with a vaccine for the virus. And so because we've done that, we're going to turn around, we're going to put $9 trillion into the economy, $7,900 per household each month for the next series of months, all the way to the end of the year. Okay. And then we're going to add $1.8 trillion for small businesses. And then we're going to take an additional $3 trillion as a block grant system for large businesses and the government. All right. So we have all of the areas, household, government, and business covered under the circular flow economic model, to where there's a deliberate doubling of revenues, because we actually have that in society. All right. But right now, we are allowing whole areas of our society, industries to basically constrict. J.C. Penney's closes 252 stores. You've got the Denny's chain closing 15 restaurants around the country. Hertz declares bankruptcy. Goes on and on and on and on. It's still going on. And yet no one is saying to the President of the United States, where is the bailout money? And then you have some Yahoo that says, well, the government doesn't need to spend money. Well, it does. The basic function of the government is to keep the economy going and afloat, to administer the health and welfare. And health and welfare also means money, folks. It doesn't just mean health. Think about that welfare part, okay? That's a broad definition. And what you don't call for the ideal government. And not only that, our pop culture has said, hey, you know what? Forget the idea of a better society. Even Star Trek has descended into this with Star Trek Picard, where the Federation now employs slave labor. The Federation. In Star Trek, the original series, you never had that. The Federation consisted of the good people. All right? There was the edict, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. They were the gold standard for how society should be ran. On Earth, in the Star Trek world, you didn't have to worry about having money. Your basic needs were provided for you. It led you to be able to create, to be artisans, to enjoy your life. And because you had the money, you were far less likely to go knocking off somebody for money. You didn't have to worry about it. That's the kind of society we should shoot for. And here's the thing, folks, that's actually the kind of society we can achieve. And I'm not talking about socialism. No, I'm simply talking about having and not even a guaranteed minimum standard of income, but a standard of income that's an American standard. That's the whole point. We shouldn't feel guilty about what some other nation has or doesn't have. Oh, poor them. We have the American standard. And if we don't, I'm telling you, because we're headed that way, if we don't achieve a system that maintains the American standard, incidents like this one with this corrupt cop are going to happen more and more and more and more and more because they're getting employed, because they're going to get jobs because they want to make ends meet, because that's where the taxpayer money is. Okay, we got to stop it. We have to stop it. And the first best way to do that right now is to demand for the mayor of Oakland, all the mayors, the governor of California, governor of Nevada, all the governors, to demand that the federal government spend at least $5 trillion more dollars, at least $5 trillion more dollars into the economy. And none of this jazz about, well, you know, we've given more money than any other effort in history. It's not enough. It's not enough, okay? It's wrong to have a situation where you have some businesses that get the PPP and other people don't know how to fill out the application, then you have other people who are afraid. No. That's wrong. All right? It's wrong to have an economy or system when someone says, well, that person's getting more from government than they would for work. Hey, think about it this, all right? There are people drawing unemployment now who are getting far less than they made the private sector. There's the other side of the coin, but see, no one wants to talk about that part. Most people are suffering too. All right? So we've got to change. Let me read some more of your comments. Let's see here. John Mark says, yeah, I give the Alameda County Sheriff respect. And then he says they get all of that from the Los Angeles Police Department. And John Marks is saying, I'm sorry that happened. He's only talking about my story regarding the DUI and talking with Jeff Adachi about it. And the Alexander Yee says, was George on drugs? I don't. If he was on drugs, all right, it doesn't justify that just looking at the camera. Okay. And people, the witness, Mr. Williams himself even said, hey, he wasn't on drugs. Okay. And John Marks here says no. Jamal Mills. Jamal says, good evening. I feel that African Americans do not have any political power is the reason why we are seen as disposable outside of the racism. And Jamal, I'm going to go you a step further on that. I think the opposite. We have a great deal of political power, but we're afraid to use it. And there's the narrative of, hey, if you say something, this other person will do something. Okay. You can't be afraid to call the senator or congressperson or corporate exec or head that you know You can't be afraid to start a blog or your own news organization to get out information. You can't relegate your complaints to just Facebook where really only your little group sees it. That's the problem. Okay. You have to engineer it so that if someone violates you in some kind of way, you can engineer it so that they are outed to a point where they can't get employment because they have this scarlet letter on them that can only be erased by their own apologies and heartfelt works to be better people. That's the way you do it. And then not only that, we have to have a return to the Lord. And I know some people are atheists. I'm not. I'm not trying to push anything down anybody's throat. But I find that people who believe that there is a higher power than themselves, not all the time, but generally, behave in a way that respects an order of how people should be treated in the society. In other words, the buck doesn't stop with them. There is a moral high ground that they adhere to, okay? And we have to seek out those people and duly reward them for being people who have an operation without fear to install a society that has a set of rules based on a belief that there is a God. Doesn't matter, everybody has their belief, but when I say there is a God, I mean there are sets some do's and don'ts. I don't care what a person's religion is, as long as they have one. I'm more concerned, and they practice it and they're honest about it. I'm more concerned about people who don't, who just say, I don't believe in anything. Well, then if there's the old saying, if you don't believe in anything, you stand for nothing. Okay, more comments. John Mark says, you're right, Jamal. And then he says, just for that, fire the people who disrespect their customers. Yes. And then he says, you're right, Zenny. However, President Trump will never go for it because he's on a power trip. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I believe that everybody has a sweet spot. I believe that everybody has something where they can say, hey, you know what? Mr. President, here's how you can do X better. All right? It reminds me of the whole Mary Poppins saying, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. All right? Jamal Mills says, yes, I can agree with that, especially those who are in a position to be influential. Yeah. But if you look around society, look at the commercials, look at how beautiful this society has become on the bright side in terms of, if I just type, for example, interracial interracial families, okay, and see not so much the images, but the news, right? And it's, I should say the rise, because this is statistics, okay? And it says that, see, that's 2010. That's old news. It has old news about interracial statistics. All right. But what's going on is this, and it says it right here. What's behind the rise? This is 2018. What's behind the rise of interracial marriage in the United States? Okay. And it says attitudes, migration patterns, availability of partners, and education, all are factors. All right. And it says that it's been a half century since the U.S. Supreme Court decriminalized interracial marriage. And it's most common in Honolulu, in Las Vegas. I would have thought Las Vegas, 31%. Santa Barbara, California. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Palm Bay, Florida, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Stockton in California, Anchorage, Alaska, Ogden, Cherfield, Utah, and of course, San Diego, Carlsbad, California. All right. The bottom 10: Greensboro, North Carolina, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Lafayette, Louisiana. In fact, Louisiana appears here twice uh, in terms of Baton Rouge and Birmingham, Greenville, South Carolina. All right. Chattanooga, Tennessee, Youngstown, Ohio, Asheville, North Carolina, and Jacksonville, Mississippi. So between the Carolinas and Louisiana, I got some issues there. Okay. But the bottom line is that it's, and that was just 2018. It's the point now where if you just look at the images, all right, it's very common to see families of all kinds together, and to the point where they're commercials now, all right, and it doesn't matter anymore like it used to by any stretch of the imagination over my life. My life. So my point is, these are aspects of our society that we should be proud of, because as much as there are people who want to act like our president, like there's the other and divide and conquer, our very nature as Americans is to seek oneness. That's the beauty of being American. And that's why on that basis, I'm going to switch to now discussion of something that represents the ultimate oneness in terms of what we like to discuss. And that something happens to be, you guessed it, right here, the National Football League. How's that for a segue? Okay. NFL 2020, playing rules change and bylaw proposals, playing rules proposal summary. Now, there's going to be live tomorrow, and I want to do another segment on this, but everything kind of snuck up on me. So let's go through. I want to have some fun here, because that's depressing. I hope you all are with me. I plan to do this. This wasn't something I was kind of like I'm changing courses in the middle of the stream. No. I plan to do it just like this. This is part of the plan. It's part of the plan. Okay. And the reason is I want to have fun talking about these rule changes that are going to come up on NFL Network tomorrow. Oh, by the way, stay tuned, 3:00. But chances are many of you don't know about them. Some of you do. Let's talk about them. Let's have a game. I read the rule off to you, okay? If you like the rule, type yes. Like, there's YMCA, right? If you like the rule, type yes. If you don't like it, type in for no. Okay? So with that, let's go. Let's go for it. First of all, anybody out there on if you see this on YouTube, tweet it out, put it on your Facebook page, send it out there, get some more people involved. Okay. Now what you're reading, this isn't me, this is the actual set of rules. What I did was I digitized the PDF, made it into a text file, and then poured it in to Oakland News Now. So here it is. I never got what number 1 was. It just said number 2. I think it was misnumbered because I actually informed the league. I never got an answer back about why the number started with 2. But 2, by Philadelphia Eagles to amend Rule 15, Section 2 to make permanent the expansion of automatic replay reviews to include scoring plays and turnovers negated by a foul and any successful or unsuccessful try attempt. What do you think about that? Okay, so basically I'll repeat that. I will repeat that. It is, okay, I will repeat that. And it goes like this. You ready? I'm repeating it. Okay? It goes like this. By Philadelphia Eagles to amend Rule 15, Section 2 to make permanent the expansion of automatic replay reviews to include scoring plays and turnovers negated by a foul and any successful or unsuccessful try attempt. All right. So in other words, you can use automatic replays are used. All right. So that it's not something that only happens, I think. And John Mark says yes. I'm going to say yeah. Okay. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Got 2 yeses, no nos. Number 2, which is number 3. Again, by the Philadelphia Eagles. This is to amend Rule 6, Section 1, Article 1, to provide an alternative to the onside kick that would allow a team an opportunity to maintain possession of the ball after scoring. Well, what I don't like about that is it doesn't tell me what that would be. It just says an alternative. Well, what? Well, here's the alternative. Maybe I just keep the ball and I don't kick it. What does that mean? Yeah, I don't know what that means. Okay. So I would say, I'm just going to say no. I'm just going to say no. Okay. What does that mean? I don't know. That's like, bleh. What does that mean? I have no idea. No. Anybody else want to chime in on that one? I guess not. All right. Number 5. That's the way they did it. Okay. By Miami Dolphins to amend Rule 4, Section 3, Article 2, to provide the option to the defense for the game clock to start on the referee's signal if the defense declines an offensive penalty that occurs late in either half. Okay, so let's figure this out. All right. It's 50 seconds to go, second quarter. Okay? And offense goes offside. Okay? And so the offense goes offside, they lose 5 yards. But maybe the defense wants to keep them in a certain position because they know that their tendencies are such that they're prepared for the offense to be, 3rd down and 5 rather than 3rd down and 10. So you can go into its deep passing game. And, hey, you know what? Maybe they feel like they're better equipped to stop a possible run than a pass, right? Just saying. All right? I'm not saying I agree with that logic, but hey. Okay? So let's say that the option, the defense takes the option. Game clock can start on the referee's signal if the defense if the defense declines an offensive penalty. All right. So if that's the case, the defense says, "Hey, I wanted to start on your signal." Guess what? The defense has the chance to do: substitute. So that's not a bad option. I like it. All right. I like it. John Mark says, okay, yes, ball needs to travel 5 yards, talking about the other one, before recovering team can retrieve the ball. Okay. All right, I like it. All right. Here's the other one. Here's next. All right, that was the Dolphins. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens, by the Baltimore Ravens and Los Angeles Chargers, to amend Rule 19, Section 2, to add a booth umpire as an 8th game official to the officiating crew. I like it. Booth umpire, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. I say yes. Absolutely. Okay? Yes. I like it. All right. So then we've got, let's see here. 7, by Baltimore Ravens and Los Angeles Chargers to amend Rule 19, Section 2 to add a senior technology advisor to the referee to assist the officiating crew. I like that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Anything to create another job. Definitely. See, I believe in job creation. It's my economic development thing. Okay. All right. Now, um, we've got by the NFL Competition Committee expands defensive player protection to a kickoff or punt returner. If you're wondering what that is, this is a back team. To a kickoff or punt returner who is in possession of the ball, who has not had time to avoid or ward off the impending contact of an opponent. I'll repeat that. By the NFL Competition Committee expands defenseless player protection to a kickoff or punt returner who is in possession of the ball, but who has not had time to avoid or ward off the impending contact of an opponent. I'll repeat that again. Expands defensive player protection to a kickoff or punt returner who is in possession of the ball, but who has not had time to avoid or ward off the impending contact of an opponent. Okay. So in other words, basically you're saying, hey, look, give the person time to avoid or ward off the impending contact? No, that sounds a little weird. That's got to be reworded. I think I see. I'm not, I'm not feeling that one. I mean, I see, but I don't see. All right. By the NFL Competition Committee, prevents teams from manipulating the game clock by committing multiple dead ball fouls while the clock is running. All right. By the NFL Competition Committee, prevents teams from manipulating the game clock by committing multiple dead ball fouls while the clock is running. You know what? That's a Patriots thing. Because Bill Belichick was deliberately did that to kind of goose Adam Gase, right? He did that last year. He had his guys deliberately go offside, go illegal procedure, okay? And he was basically running out the clock, all right? So he's committing all these multiple dead ball fouls. He's running out the clock. And Gase is kind of like, hey, what's going on here? I think that's a great idea. All right. John Mark says no. I say yes. I think. Maybe you're saying no to the other thing. Hey, welcome to Zenny62, everybody. Now we're into 2020 playing rule proposal number 2. Amend Rule 15. All right, this is deep, okay? And so these are more detailed explanations of the let's see, NFL 2020 playing rule proposal 2. Amend Rule 15 Section 2, instant replay, new language underlined. Only the replay official or the senior vice president of officiating or his or her designee may initiate a review of a play. A, that begins after the 2-minute warning of each half. B, throughout any overtime period. C, when the points are scored by either team. D, that is successful or unsuccessful try attempt. This is a mouthful. In other words, you're going to initiate a review for a play only when all that happens. And I'm like, no. The effect is it makes permanent the 2019 additions to the list of plays subject to automatic review. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. If that's the case, fine. I say yes. Yes. Okay, yes. Yes. And that was a mouthful. I was like, oh, man. Yes. 2020 playing rule proposal 3. Amend Rule 6, Section 1, new language underline. A free kick is a kickoff or safety kick that puts the ball in play to start a free kick down. It must be made from any point in the kicking offensive team restraining line. Basically, it says the problem here is that when I look at this, it doesn't have the I'm going to have to get the rules that were put on the NFL website. They're mainly because that one doesn't have the right underlining. In other words, it doesn't highlight, right? So hold on a second. And I'm assuming that these things were highlighted. So I'm going to the PDF and I'm scrolling down because I didn't notice anything like that. It didn't. Here is the underline. The underlining did not make it into. I see. Okay. All right. It's saying that the new line is such plays. Okay, here it is. 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 Playing proposal 3. Wait a minute. It's 7. Let me move up here to playing proposal 3 is where we are, right? I'm looking at the actual doc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, swap this for that, like that, and there we are. Okay, so now we are. How's that? Okay, pretty slick. Okay, so you've seen, I believe you've seen that. Okay, we have. John Mark says, I'm so confused. I'm sorry, John. It's a little, I agree, it's a little esoteric. We're going to get through it real quick. All right. And go from there. Okay. All right. It says, as an alternative rule to free kick, a team may elect to retain possession subject to the following rules. It may elect to retain more than 2 times. The kicking team must notify the referee of its intention to forego a kickoff or a safety kick and retain possession. The ball, I still think it's a bad thing. Okay, this is more detail. All right, and these are more details about what we talked about, basically. So we went through that. Those are the ones that are going to be considered tomorrow in a special live stream of the NFL's competition committee meeting. So it should be a lot of fun to review that, okay? And they have the summary here for the bylaw proposals. And this is actually quite extensive, okay? So I encourage you to read it either at Oakland News Now. The actual PDF copy is at Oakland News Now as well as at the NFL website. And I will make, yeah. And so you don't have to worry about, gee, where do I go to see the underlying that they made, right? So the rules that I favor are the ones that really solidify the instant replay issue and have a booth review person and also allow the automatic and guaranteed use of instant replay as opposed to that's more into the fabric of the game. All right. I really favor that. So I think that'll really help make the game go smoother. It'll feel more like the technology part. And if you have a technology consultant too, there'll be a better meshing of technology in implementing the rules. All right. So there's that. So we're going to go from discussions of the rules, the NFL rules, to this bit of news that that came down, and it's a bit of a how do I say it? A word play. Okay, a word play. Boom. This one. All right. And you didn't see that, did you? Okay, let me try that so that make sure that you see that there. And it says 15 active cases of coronavirus recorded at Allegiant Stadium. That's according to the Las Vegas Review Journal. But here's the catch, folks. It's actually 31. 31, okay? So it says here, there are 15 active cases of coronavirus among workers who have been on the Allegiant Stadium project site, according to Mortensen McCarthy, the joint venture in charge of constructing the stadium. Oh, and here's, hey, how you doing, Joseph?
I'm good. How are you?
Outstanding, folks. It's Joseph Almendarez. And Joseph says, what time is the meeting and will I be live streaming? The meeting, the NFL meeting for this NFL schedule. Let me see here how that is going to line up. One moment, please, and give you a quick answer. Right? If I say NFL Network, NFL schedule, NFL not schedule, NFL rules show. Yeah, that will come in. It does not. Let's see here. NFL Network shows. Fast and Furious, quick guide to NFL TV. NFL Network schedule. Okay. To Thursday. They don't actually have it listed. This is supposed to be a live stream, and yet they don't list it. They don't have it listed on the schedule. Here, I thought it was supposed to be Thursday, and yet it's not. Maybe I got the days screwed up. Let's see if it's Friday. And Total Access Division Series around the NFL. That's very odd. Let me check Twitter, see if the NFL Network has put anything on there. Because it sounds like, now that I look at it, it was some sort of audible. Hold on a second. NFL Network. NFL Network. Okay. Here's NFL Network. Supposed to be an owners meeting tomorrow, I thought, or maybe either there's Mike talking. Either there was, or either what I heard maybe was something that was referred to as that already happened. Sometimes I make that mistake, but yeah, I don't see that. I don't see network. Let's try something. NFL Network. I type NFL rules. So I don't see anything there. Yeah, I don't see it. It's very odd. Very odd. At any rate,
maybe if you type upcoming.
You're too quiet. What's happening? You're too quiet. What's happening, Joseph?
No, I was gonna say maybe if you type in upcoming NFL owners meetings and might break it down for you.
Well, that's the thing, though. The NFL owners meeting already took place last week.
Yeah. Now, what you're talking about possibly could have been postponed because, as you know, that decision on the Rooney Rule got postponed. So I wonder if they just postponed everything else, and that was priority.
I don't think so. I think that what's going on is that someone came up with the idea of taking the NFL 2020 NFL rules and making it a show of its own at the last minute. And so AP sources, NFL drops booth official proposal to aid calls. So that booth proposal's out. The NFL has tabled a proposal for a booth official who would aid calls by using a video feed. A person familiar with the decision tells the Associated Press. The league's competition committee told teams last month it supports studying ways to determine how officiating personnel who have access to a video feed could help on-field officials. A booth umpire would serve as an eighth game official. But when the owners vote on the rules proposals on a conference call Thursday, they instead will be looking at alternatives to a booth official. Okay. And that's what I'm looking for. The conference call was supposed to be now changed to a live stream. So let me see NFL 2020 NFL rules conference call. And it's NFL rules conference call. Let's see here. And it's a video conference call. Oh, that's reporters. And Mike Tomlin, NFL to push. Let me see if this is on Twitter as well. Maybe somebody is putting it there. I hate how the NFL tries to make things so secretive regarding the press now.
Yeah, I would highly doubt if they're going to televise that, because it seems like they're not televising anything else.
Well, the thing about it is that it was presented as if it was going to be televised. That's what was so weird. And let's see here. That's what was so weird. So NFL Lewis, it's supposed to be a live stream. Boy, yeah. Let's see, live stream. NFL Lewis live stream. Okay, NFL. Nope. That's not it either. NFL 2020 NFL rules show. Typing that. And there's top. And no, I don't see that. I see 2020 NFL rules. And yeah, I don't see that either. This is very odd. They have the rules change proposals that have been submitted by clubs in advance of the 2020 NFL season. But I didn't get anything about a conference call. And maybe it is behind the scenes. But they're keeping, let's see, let's check NFL 345. There's the pinned tweet, May 22nd. Next week, NFL clubs will meet virtually. Among the items on the agenda are a review of 2020 rule changes proposals. And here's the full summary that they refer to. Let's see. NFL Ops 2020 rule proposals during upcoming virtual. Okay, here it is. Have a look at this. Okay. I think this will help all of us as we go forward. This should help us determine what the heck is going on. And it is, where is it? Let's go back to here. And then let's replace this with that. Yeah, updates. Okay, and then let's put this here. 2020 rule proposals. Right here. We'll get rid of that, and then we'll go and we'll say, all right, during upcoming virtual league meetings, clubs will discuss the following proposed rule changes. All proposals must be approved by 75% of the 24 of the owners to be adopted. NFL clubs will consider the following competition committee and club submitted proposals. And let's play this video. Oh, hold on a second. There is a, let's see here. Is that playing for you, or is it
just the audio? There's no video component.
So you can hear the audio. Okay, right.
Yeah.
But I think the video is coming through me. And I think what's going on is I've got 2020 rules proposals up twice. So since that is there, right?
Well, there's like a play button on the NFL icon, and I don't think you press that one.
I got it. This is the one. All right, here we go again. All right, cool. How do you like that music? So those are the proposals in video form. So basically, I read them off to you before, but those are the proposals in video form. But that said, I do not see it just goes through. Yeah, go ahead.
What I suspect is that initial conference call will be to go over the proposals, and that Zoom virtual call that will be online is to ratify whatever they decide to do on the conference call.
Right. But I was under the impression, however, obviously I'm wrong, I think that this is going to be televised on the NFL Network, as opposed to, and they didn't do that last time, but then maybe there was a thought to do that. Maybe they pulled back, but it's not listed. It's a virtual call. It's meetings, and the NFL's furloughed a lot of people. Okay, and so I think they're really trying to by not administering to a lot of the media. I think they're just trying to basically reduce their workload, because the commissioner took a pay cut and a number of people have been furloughed, which means the NFL's paying their health care, but they're not paying their salaries. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. So, and I'm getting the impression that it's a number of people, because there's certain people, and I want to name names, that are handling communications that normally would not be handling communications at a certain level. Okay. So they are, it's a sad situation. And yeah, the pay cut basically went like this. If you were a senior vice president, it was 15%. If you're a vice president, it was 10%. If you made less than $100,000, you did not receive a pay cut. It was like that. That's what they were doing. So it just goes to show you how bad the situation is with the pandemic and how sports are impacted. And that's why I'm starting to think we may not see an NFL season. Okay. I'm really starting to think we're not going to see an NFL season.
Well, and if you had a chance, or anybody watching had a chance to look at my Brian Gumbel report with the interview of the Player Association chiefs from the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball, one of the major concerns that arose from Cheryl Roberts was having certain NBA players that recently have just had children, and they're afraid to play because they're wondering, with the mutation of the virus starting to occur, if that's going to affect their small children. And so the quote from Cheryl Roberts was, well, not verbatim, but she went on to say is that earlier this week, she really thought if she gave it a scale of 1 to 10, that it would be an 8, that the season would continue. She dropped it down to a 6, maybe a 5 as of yesterday, because of all the information that she has gathered in 1 week. So you're right. If more additional information comes and we see a second wave going to occur because all these yahoos in these other states have decided to reopen, what's the likelihood of any of these seasons going to take place?
No, that's a great point. I was going to play your piece here, but it wouldn't. Let's see here. Did you just make the comment, or did you include the clips, or how did you do it?
I just made the comment. I it was a
Awesome.
fast. Yeah, it was. So
Thank
basically
you.
saying what I said. Yeah.
Awesome. So we basically now here it is. But folks, if you're wondering what creation Joseph wrought, here it is. That's it. And what he's explaining is here.
To discuss the COVID-19 pandemic, and his guests were the Player Association.
And so you can have a look at that. It's 5 minutes.
More optimistic that their season will open on time because they do have a little more time. Basically, to wrap up the whole episode, it was a back and forth of concerns with player safety. One of the main highlights I thought that came in from, I believe it was on the side of DeMaurice Smith, he started getting some feedback, as well as from the NBA with Michelle Roberts, that a lot of the players, both in the NBA and the NFL, have both stated that they're concerned since some of what we've seen in different states or high volume states like New York, that the virus has mutated somewhat and started having a certain mutation of the virus affecting young children. And so that was the main concern, that potentially if a player's asymptomatic brings it home, not only will he infect his family, but possibly small children. So that's another concern that occurred this week that actually kind of pulled Michelle Roberts a little bit, and they polled her and basically said, we don't know what we're going to do. We were more optimistic even a week ago as we are today. And mainly that has to do with concerns of the players. Without the players, there is no season.
Right. And I want to bring that up. And because it's been estimated that the NFL, you don't have fans of players you don't have fans in the stands, you lose billions. And if the players can't play, then you've lost the season. And so I don't think people understand the gravity of how bad this situation is. And then because too often you hear people talk as if, well, things are going to get back to normal like that, and yet you've got how many my goodness, how many bankruptcies do we have?
And while you look that up, another aspect of what you just mentioned, let's say for whatever reason, governors in the country will say, let's get back to normal, let's start the season. Well, Major League Baseball, for one, more than likely won't happen because as of Tuesday, they balked a proposal from the owners to continue prorating their salary. So even though those exuberant salaries are way beyond what either of us will ever make, but consider this: a Major League veteran minimum is $536. With the prorated, it would bring it down more than 50%. They would ask a Major League veteran to take. Now, there was always negativity towards the players, right? Well, you want all the money, but no one ever talks about the billionaire owners, because no one ever talks about them because they're still making money. And so why put it all just on the players that are saying, no, we don't want to keep getting our salaries cut, because they know as much as the players are getting their salaries cut, the owners are still making more than the players.
Here's the retail bankruptcy picture as it looks added to the stream. J. Crew filed for bankruptcy, annual revenue $2.5 billion. 492 stores. They filed for Chapter 11 protection, and they haven't announced any store closures, but analysts warn the financial fallout from the temporary closures and reduced sales will have a domino effect around the industry, permanently altering shopping malls around the country. That's money that people make that would go into purchasing an NFL ticket. Then there's, of course, there's Neiman Marcus, 43 stores, and they considering closing stores. They have paid down $5 billion in debt. There's Stage stores. They have 738 stores. They have Palace Royal, Beals, and Goody department stores. They filed for bankruptcy on May 10th. And they said they're searching for buyers to liquidate their stores. There's J.C. Penney, which closed its stores, including here in Fayette County, Georgia. They said they were permanently closed some of its 850 locations, and they were struggling, but this sort of pushed them over. Tuesday morning, look at this, 800. These are not small retailers. 867 stores, 785. I mean, that's over 1,000 right there, closer to 1,400, and then you've got that's the list of the large ones. Those are just the large retailers, okay? And they had a running list, and they're coming up. This is the running list of retail bankruptcies there. And this is pay alert. There's even more here on Retail Dive. Those are just the large ones. Retail Dive has their own running list. They've got 13 retailers that have filed for bankruptcy: Centric Brands, J.C. Penney, Stage Stores, Aldo, Neiman Marcus, J. Crew, True Religion, Model Sports, Art Van Furniture, Blue Steam Brands, Pier 1, SP Franchise Corporation. All right. So these are huge problems. And these are enormous problems, a wave of them. And meanwhile, Nero fiddles in the White House. So, bad stuff. Hey, it's 11:40 a.m. out here in the East. Let's take this up tomorrow.
All
right, folks, subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Bookmark OaklandNewsNow.com, and we will see you definitely very soon.